Well, well, well. There's something going on with this team. It's like this team is not seeing everything that we're seeing. Micah Parsons never ceases to amaze me on his podcast. While sometimes he can be insightful, and sometimes it's like Micah Parsons just can't read the room. Micah Parsons is about to say one of the most insane things of the 2024 season. Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, 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 Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. There's something going on, like I said in the beginning, with this team. It's like they don't really know who they are. It's like they don't really know that they're losing games, like they're not playing as good as they should be playing. And to me, when a team doesn't realize it's actually not playing that well, and even if it is playing well in spurts, it bothers me or it alarms me that a team doesn't really know who it is. Because if the team is saying that we're not as bad as our record shows, or we're not as bad as what we put on the field, we're not as bad as what everyone is saying, are the people crazy or is the team crazy? I'm going to let you hear what Micah Parsons said. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to read a statement by Bill Parcels that is now infamous as it pertains to winning and losing. Let's roll this clip.
You know the loss? Obviously, bro, I'm going to put this out there. We're a damn good football team. I know the scores ain't showing it, and I know obviously people feel like we got so many missing pieces, but I just truly believe like you almost got to go to things like things that we messing up on. Like I think our defense is really turning things around. Like up until that last quarter when they got that touchdown defense, we only really gave up those 2 touchdowns in that first quarter. But other than that, we gave up 6 points in the other 2 quarters.
I agree. I think that like, you know, the work and that we be putting in the facility, and you know, it's hard to overcome, and you know, it's hard to just win the game with defense and hard to just win the game with offense. It got to be all 3 cylinders: offense, defense, special teams. Everybody got to be clicking in one. But I feel like we got a really good football team. I agree with you. Like we really do.
Yeah, I just hate that, you know, the score don't really show how good we actually are. And I hate that, you know, it seems like, especially for me, you know how good of a coach Al is and how good of a coach I think Zim's doing. I'm just speaking defensively. How good, you know, our coaches have been. You know, I just hate that outcome because our coaches is really doing an amazing job. And
and they study hard too, just to have a game plan for us, just to try to help us, when winning football, and you know, just it don't be working out.
So let me get this straight. You're a good football team, but the score's not showing it? So are other teams bad football teams, but the score is lying? I think there's something wrong with this team. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I think there's something wrong with this football team. It's actually the things, Micah Parsons, that you're talking about. It's actually, Micah Parsons, the fact of the things you're not doing well is the reason why you're not a good football team. The fact that you're the worst team in the third quarter, and then you get ran off on in the fourth quarter. And a defense is not judged by what it does in the first half. The team is judged by what it does the entire game. And even if there are turnovers in the game, the mark of a great defense, even a good defense at times, is even when we get turnovers, we're still going to keep you out of the end zone. This is a bad team. It's a bad team with some good players, but it's a bad team right now. And I will give you this. I've been defending Mike Zimmer all year. I think Mike Zimmer has done a great job, especially when you talk about the injuries. I think, though, Mike Zimmer's problem is some of the players have let Mike Zimmer down. There are players, there are some of the defensive backs, they're getting literally burned for touchdowns. I mean, you get to points in the game where you can't tackle, you're missing tackles, just missed assignments. I mean, there are so many different things defensively, and we don't even want to talk about offensively. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, Michael, but I don't think the tape is lying a whole lot. And when I hear someone say they are not what the score shows, and don't get me wrong, I understand what he's saying. You do have to go look at the box score. I mean, you have to go look at the games and the box scores. This is one of the reasons why I was telling people that Cooper Rush was not what they were saying he is. Because if you look at the two games in 2022 that he played against the Rams and he played against the Eagles, you could already see what's happening happen. It happened then. The better the competition, Cooper Rush shrank. And even with the defense they had, Cooper Rush shrank. The turnovers, all the stuff we're seeing now, the missed throws, all the stuff we're seeing now is the exact same thing we saw in 2022. And the more they let him throw the ball 55 times, the more we're going to see that same Cooper Rush. And so at the end of the day, Micah Parsons, it's not just your record. It's what we're looking at. The numbers are not lying in a lot of places. You have to play 4 quarters. You don't get credit for being a good team for playing 2 quarters. You're getting destroyed in the 3rd quarter. And y'all did a good job against the Houston Texans, but they struggled also in the 3rd quarter. You gave up 3 points. They've struggled also, but you still got to play the whole game. You have to play the whole game, and you don't get credit. You don't get credit, Micah Parsons. I understand what you're saying. But to be honest, y'all are just not a good football team. Y'all have the potential to be a good football team. You have players to where I think you can be a good football team. I do believe in 2025, you're going to be a good football team again. And I dare say, if Jared makes a couple of right decisions, you're going to be absolutely great in 2025. But Micah Parsons, let me leave you with the infamous words of one Bill Parcells. The one thing that Bill Parcells didn't allow in a performance-based business is that Bill Parcells did not allow his team to make excuses, to talk about all of the good things they are doing and the bad things that are happening and the particular excuse or that particular excuse, basically building in excuses of why you failed. Bill Parcells is infamous for this statement right here, Micah Parsons. And I think you would help your team more if you told your team this infamous quote by Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. You can tell us anything you want to, Micah Parsons, but you're 3-7. And you're 3-7, you got to ask yourself, if you're saying you're a good football team, somewhere it has to be translating. It has to translate somewhere. There is no way that a good football team loses 7 games. And it doesn't look like that but there's only 1 game. It only looks like you have 1 game, maybe 2 left you could win on the schedule. Why? Because we're looking at your play for all 4 quarters. We're looking at everything you're doing. And for all intents and purposes, Micah Parsons, I'm sorry. You're not a good football team. Regardless of injuries, regardless of whatever you're saying, You're not a good football team. Because if you were a good football team, you would not be 3-7. And until you stop making all of these excuses, until you stop saying these things that you're saying, how can you be the leader that you say you are trying to be? When if you look at great players, they never make excuses for their team. We lost and we must win. Because if you're not what your record says you are what your record says you are. Because winning is what gets you in the playoff run. Winning is what gets you positioned in the playoffs. Winning is what helps you to keep going after the playoffs. Winning is what you want to do at the end because you want to win the Super Bowl. So for anyone to say that we are not what our record says, we have a doggone good football team, it's not true.